Hey everybody, I am coming making this video message and I want to let you all know two things. Number one, stop telling everybody what God promised you. And number two, stop running and telling everybody what prophecy was given to you or who God used to speak into your life. This may come as a shock to a lot of you all, but I tell you all the time that your one-on-one intimate relationship with God is nobody else's business. It is between you and God. Think about this for a minute. This is just something I feel you all should consider. Consider the different relationships and levels of your relationships with your children, your friends, your spouse, maybe your parents. You do not treat every single person in your life the same. Not because you're being secretive, not because you don't love them, not because you don't want to include everybody in your life into what you have going on. But everybody is at a different level. Everybody is at different ages, even with your children. If you have your oldest child up against a middle child or a baby child, you are not going to have conversations with the middle or the baby child at the level you would with the oldest. Usually with the older child, there is more responsibilities left on that child. And so their mindset is a lot different from maybe the middle child or the small child. Sometimes it varies. You may have a younger child or a middle child who is more responsible and more mature than the oldest or the firstborn. But think about your friendships. Each friend that you have, they are at different levels for different reasons. You can actually be friends with someone, love them dearly and respect them, but you are very, very careful with what you share with that friend. You are limited in information that you give certain friends because some of you have certain friends that have a really big mouth, or some of your friends are not delivered all the way and they have not grown spiritually. So they may be at a level where, yes, they really are a real friend to you and they love you just as much as you love them. But if you were to fall out with them right now, they may reveal some of your business. Maybe they will tell some of your secrets. People are not all the way together in character and mind and heart and spirit. And so all I'm saying is that when you look at your different relationships, you keep certain things with certain friends, certain children, your parents, your spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. You discuss certain things or even reveal certain things to these different people in your whole relationship dynamic that you won't reveal to other ones that is within that dynamic. And you do it for different reasons. So don't equate your relationships with people with your relationship with God. However, our relationship with God is very intimate. And when you go deeper in God, when you are pure at heart and sincere with the Lord, and when God sees that you're being diligent, and consistent in seeking Him out, fasting, praying, and keeping yourself out of trouble, God will reveal certain things to you. God will start speaking to you. God will start highlighting certain things and certain people to you. One of the things that God does is through prayer. Maybe it's different for some of you, but I know for some of us, when we begin to have a prayer life, or we learn to sit in silence after we would speak to God, God would promise us something. Or when we desired something, or we started going to God, asking Him to do a particular thing, God will promise us something. Maybe for some of you, He did promise you a spouse. Maybe He promised some of you that you would be rich. Maybe He promised you He's going to restore a broken relationship that you have with someone. Maybe He promised you that He's going to use you mightily in His kingdom and He's going to anoint you. All I'm saying to you all is that when God promises you something, He told you what He told you, and it's just for you. I get it. I get it. I know a lot of you all would say, well, Kiki, I'm excited about what God promised me. I am excited that he used the vessel to come and prophesy and speak into my life. I've been waiting on some things as far as God goes, and I am hopeful and faithful that he's going to deliver what he promised me. So I did share it with certain friends. But some of you all, you take it to a higher level, and the higher level is you make a whole post on your social media. It's not meant for your audience on Facebook to know. It's not meant for your audience on Instagram to know. There are certain things, I'm sorry, that you all have to keep between you and God. Now listen, no demon from hell can stop what God is promising you. No human being, beast or child, can stop what God is about to do in your life. But can there be setbacks? Can there be delays? Can some weird things start going on, and where something may have been promised to you and it was going to probably come in, I'm just using old years as an example. Say you were promised something by God in 2020, but because you went around telling a bunch of people, it left what you told them, that information, it was compromised. A lot of people started praying against you. They were speaking against you. They began to mock you. And it left you open, it left you vulnerable, and you may have gotten in your flesh and started arguing with people. Let's say God told you you're going to get married. I'm going to give you a husband. I'm going to give you a wife. And you got arrogant, okay? And you went and you told a bunch of people. And those people started laughing at you and talking about you. Some of them did it to your face. And you came and told them, well, God promised me I'm going to have a wife. God promised me I'm going to have a husband. God promised me that I'm going to get that luxury car I want. I put it on my board as far as my goals. Oh, God told me he was going to heal me. And see, when you begin to share with people what God promised you, when you begin to tell people what a prophet or prophetess spoke into your life and told you, some things you share, it sounds far-fetched to people. It sounds off the wall. Not that we care about what they think, but what I'm saying is that that's why God only shared it with you in your intimate moment with him. Stop explaining yourself. Stop revealing everything that God shows you. I even have to tell you all, when God reveals secrets to you, when he tells you certain things that are going on in the world, or he highlights a political figure to you, or different things that's going on, if he's not telling you to get on Facebook or get on Instagram or make a YouTube video about it, you need to be quiet. God has to be able to trust you with information that he gives you. I have been telling you all this for well over a year. Please, guys, learn to keep things between you and God. You don't owe anybody an explanation. You don't have to go out of your way to prove who you are, how valuable you are, and you do not have to show anybody what God told you or promised you as far as your life goes. Keep it to yourself. You can be excited. You can keep it basic and general. You can tell someone, you know what, God did promise me some things. I know God's going to show up for me. But when you start going into details, when you start arguing with people about the promise, when you go back and forth and you calling everybody on the phone about a prophetic word that was given to you at a conference you went to, or you showing them the video because somebody recorded you and that man or woman of God called you out, when you're telling everybody what God said and you putting it on Facebook, you are leaving everything, a lot, compromise. You're leaving it open, you're leaving it compromised. And see, what you all got to also look at is this: certain vessels, their gift is not 100% cultivated. So I don't want to put my mouth on anybody and call them a false prophet or a false teacher or a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm not going to go there. I'm not in the business of doing that. But what I'll say is that sometimes people's gifts are not cultivated. They're not strong in their gift. And so they may have spoken into your life because an impression was up on their spirit, or they prophesied in your life. But if you presumptuously go and start telling a lot of people and that thing or those things don't come to pass, a lot of you all, you will scoff at God. You will stop going to God. You will stop seeking him. You will get embarrassed. You will be ashamed. When you put this stuff out publicly because you were going around telling things that God revealed to you when it was just an intimate moment he was having with you, there are prices that you have to pay. You have to pay a price, and sometimes humiliation is one of them. Sometimes shame, sometimes embarrassment. You have to learn. You have to grow in God. And one way you'll know you've grown in God is when God can tell you some very deep, hidden things about various people, about various things, about various places, things that are mind-blowing. And even though you are honored that he chose you to show you something and tell you something, you still can sit on that and you can keep silent. One thing about God, God is always going to iron out and work out arrogance in us, pride in us, self-righteousness in us. He will do that. And so that is why I'm making this video message today. Stop telling everybody your promise. Stop telling everybody your prophetic word. Now, if you had some friends, around you, and they were there at church or wherever you were at the conference and they heard you get prophesied to, that's a different story. But a lot of you all, you go and from your excitement, you can't control it. You blab it off. You blast it off to everybody. And then a lot of things start taking place and you don't understand it. When God shares part of his heart with you, when God shares certain things with you, when he uses a vessel to come and say something to you, sons and daughters of Christ, leave it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. You have absolutely nothing to prove. Keep that stuff near and dear to your heart. And if God has impressed you or impressed something upon your spirit to tell other people, then so be it. Then so be it. You don't have to mind the video. But for those of you have recently gotten shamed, or you feel embarrassed, or certain things are happening in the reverse of what God promised you, I ask you all to consider, how many people have you been telling the promise to? How many people have you been sharing those prophetic or that prophetic word with? You all will learn intimacy with God. And one of the biggest things in intimacy with God is learning to be quiet about certain things. You have your moment and your time when it's time for you to testify. You have your moment where it's time for you to go and be inspirational and share a lot of your stories with people to help them to grow, to help them to be encouraged, to help them to believe and prove to them that God is not dead and he is very much alive. You have your time, you have your moments. But on the other hand, beautiful brothers and sisters, it's going to be a time where you have to be very silent. You have to be very quiet. You have to keep things just between you and God. Ponder on it. Pray about it. Think about it. Keep your peace. Hold your peace and keep that stuff to yourself. Certain secret things, it's not public knowledge. It's not for everybody to know. That's the point of this entire video message. And you all know that I'm saying these things to you all in love. I'm not here to condemn anybody. There is no judgment. If you've been guilty of doing this, just learn from it. Just learn from it. You do not owe anybody to tell them what God promised you. Some of you all, God have not promised you anything yet because you are not at that level of relationship with him. But trust me, the more you grow with God, the deeper you go into God, the more that you pray, the more that you fast and you're killing and breaking down your flesh, you will be more open as far as spiritually when you are killing your flesh. And you will start to hear God say some things to you, or you've been praying and waiting for God to move in a certain situation. God will deal with you on those things, but it's between you and God. Just like you don't share everything with everybody about your friends, just like you don't tell all your children something you told one child because that child is at a different level and their level of intellect is different than another child, or their level of maturity is higher than another another child, just like you keep your friendships and the conversations you have with your friends separate from your husband or your wife. This is the same thing you have to do with your relationship with God. See, you can't be sloppy with God like you sloppy with other people if that's what you're doing. You can't. God is holy. God is perfect. God is holy. God is all-knowing, all-powerful. And so when God opens up, because God really doesn't owe us anything. He does not have to tell us anything. So see, you blessed. When God opens up your ear or your ears and your spiritual eyes and he starts revealing things to you and really talking to you, that's major. That's nothing to take lightly. And so don't taint the gift. Don't pervert the gift. How do you taint it? How do you pervert it? By going and blasting it to everybody. Some of these people are carnal. Some of these people, they are not happy for you. They don't care about you. They don't love you. They don't even know God. Can you imagine? Imagine this. Imagine it. You sitting in front of somebody that cares nothing about God. They don't even know God. And you come and tell them that God promised you a 5-bedroom house. They will more than likely laugh at you. They will label you as mentally ill because they will look at your current situation. They may say to you, you don't have no money. How are you about to get a 5-bedroom house? You broke. Your credit is shot to hell. You don't have any money. You don't even have a job. See, this is what carnal people and worldly people or Christians who are faking the funk, they don't understand this about God. God will speak something to you and promise you something, and your reality is the total opposite of what he promised you or what he told you. That's real talk. That's the video message. Well, guys, it's time for me to go because I have some other things to do. The Lord willing, I will be back with another video message. If any one of you have taken offense to anything I spoke about in this video message, it's okay. It's all right. I'm not worried about it. I am not concerned because I know you will forgive me in the morning.